Welcome to week 8. And behind the scenes, I understand and have gotten a little more insight into some things that are working and not working in this class. And thank you all for participating in the feedback mechanic that I put together. But the reveal is, of course, or not, of course, you might have seen this coming, that I'm trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do. So let me show you where, and this was with complete forethought and planning ahead of time, which you are not given in this class. And I realize that I might need to make that a little bit more gradual, but you've got time now, and perhaps showing you what I did and the mistakes I made and or things that worked out well might help you in formulating your final video, which is meant to kind of show the same idea. And what is that idea? Which is I received these CTECs. These are evaluations at the end of each class, and I learned from them what went well and didn't go well with particular students, and there's always a distribution in the chart. By the way, you're given a report that looks like this. So if this looks familiar, it's meant to be a little bit of what you were looking at in week 2 or 3, I believe. I just gave you a report that they asked a bunch of people a lot of questions and they tried to make sense of it. And I've always been frustrated because I'm the person who has to make sense of this. Nobody else does. And I really don't know how it works in a bigger sense. I know, having developed this 20 some odd years ago, I developed the system by which we rated our instructors. That was really fun for me because you could see this range, which is usually a complete disaster to completely great, which are rare, and then pretty good. Okay, so I always wanted to lean more toward being great if I could. I try. Anyway, so that was my goal. Now, here's what I did. So I put into LLM, or the brag tool, the syllabus. So what I'm using this as kind of an anchor, like this is the goal that I have, and I'm meaning this indeed to follow exactly what the book's trying to do. You have to have some sort of hypothesis, some sort of thing that you think can or could happen, and over time that thing may or may not occur. That's what we're looking at, is time. What happens over time? So the story so far is in week 1, and what I've done is I have worked really hard to query it so that I have some anchors. Now, this took the most time, and I changed my mind a bit, or not a bit, a lot, because it would just go on and on. And the point is that, like, how do I compare week to week? What if indeed this was something that I didn't get to see underneath, which for the most part, I'm trying to deal with my own bias here. Like, my bias is that I'll just look and I can make some sort of a mental model based on, if one person says it was terrible, why was it terrible, or what, I can make all that up. I can make up a story. It's not a problem. I don't want to make up a story. I want the LLM to make up a story. And why is this important? Because of bias, because I will just make up the story I want to hear. And in many cases, it's interesting because I've also used this to assess other of the elements of the course, just to see what you say, because there's a lot of situations where you have to say something. I apologize. I think there's a little too many, but now you know why. Is I'm trying to see, can I get any confidence that this tool will do this work for me and help me focus, because I don't have, I will make up a story in real time. So you guys liked the first week. Yeah, seemed to work well. I'm trying to match it to the syllabus of what the goals are for each week. And so what is working, confidence and dissonance, to me was this kind of thing, like, where's it going awry? What tended to happen as outliers, really, really, it loves outliers. So week 1 went great, and I think you all agree it was fun. I think I got a good feeling for that. Week 2, second week. Okay, there we go. Things are fine. So remember, we have qual and quant, and the qualitative looks, I could show the here's the output. It's a little bit hard to get through as an instructor, but I asked for this quiz and it tries to grade it and stuff like that. But these are ungraded and they are still anonymous, even though I can sort of now figure out who's who. And I have looked, but basically I ask a simple, I don't know what the scale is called, but I like it. Michelin star scale, I guess I call it. It's one, two, and three. That's all. And it's just because Likert scales, I don't like them. That's all. I don't like them. And as in many situations, people don't always do this, even though it's a free 10-point grade. Anyway, sometimes they get around to it. It's been pretty good. I'm would be hoping for 100% of everyone to participate in this quiz. That has not always been the case, but it's been close enough that I'm not going to numerically ding myself. So back to the results. Week two went fine. So we have this sort of stability in the how did it go part, and I think as the goal is to really map out our own misunderstandings and overconfidence. That's the goal of the beginning, because that was my goal in having this do the work, because I can be overconfident in many ways, and I want to not do that. I want to be clear as we go into week three. We are talking about quantitative fallibility, and you guys learned about Fermi decomposition, which was fun, and everyone seems to have not necessarily appreciated the slowing down part. The system two is a big emphasis in this class, which I hope will stay with you through your life with this new technology, is that it is much faster than you. But your slowness is not a negative. That hopefully comes across. I think so far, everything in the lesson plan is going well. Everyone seems to be connecting with it. So if we get into week four, the uh, deadlines and such did get a little off. A lot of times this is more about procedural things. And I guess what happens now is that I am changing my format because, as I said, it gets really, really verbose. This again is just an experiment. I might start from scratch with all 8 weeks and try again and see what happens. This right now is just saying that um, now that AI has been introduced to you, that people were wondering, like, when does AI come in? I guess that makes sense. So really the story is unfolding as you are now seeing. The story was maybe even more elaborate than you thought. And this is the story. Is this curriculum any good? I think as we get to um, the cohort has transitioned from optimistic curiosity to disciplined skepticism. The early thing made it you got a little more skeptical of these tools, which is exactly my point. Don't be fooled. They are just confluence engines. They will do, in a sense, kind of what you ask them to do. So it seemed as though as we get into week five, as you're starting to see what they can do, I actually changed because I wanted actually some more formal um, data to work with. So I had this particular set of taxonomies, synthesis, utilities. I don't know. I'm still working with this, but I kind of have gotten back to confidence levels, like what's going well. They are not using the tool, they're auditing their own logic. That's wonderful. And if you can learn anything about Bayesian updating, you're ahead of every human being, because it's really hard to change your mind. You don't want to do it. Um, you might, it's apparently you've come to not trust the AI, which is perfect. That was on point. I don't know why it says drifted, but it's really trying to say to me, am I going to be distracted by outliers? Not everyone is going to have a 100% perfect week. That is important. And if we look at this as an experiment over other domains, which I'm hoping you're doing, right? Do we understand drift? Do we understand that stories drift, right? What was true is no longer true. That's the meta lesson of this experiment. Week six is doing your role play. That apparently went well. You now kind of can see a little bit more of how to interact with this tool, and sentiment remains fine. I think there was some collaboration problems, and again, the story is way long, so I have to continue to work on trying to get it to focus at the right place at the right time. You need that executive summary. That's what I'm going for. This is to deliver a brief. The point is a tool that will deliver a brief. Are briefs everything? No, but they tend to be focused on what is important, and then we can fill in all the gaps, right? That's the point. Also, not to be so distracted by outliers, okay? What else did I do? It's pretty complementary. It is a tool that tends to be complementary. I realize that. This is talking a little bit about collaboration to the rubric. Uh, the scheduling, as I said, tries to build time for thinking. This is not always easy and or appropriate to your group. So I'm not sure what kind of results a experiment like this would happen on maybe an undergraduate class or just even a work situation. I'm really curious. So there's some open-ended areas to mess with. And then, as with all stories, week 7 was the crisis. The crisis was we are trying to build a story, and what happened was is we instead just sort of treated the LLM output as the truth, or that is the story. And a story has to have a user, it's a user story. So what I did realize is that this was mitigated a little bit by not having you do it and then having me criticize it, which is a bad teaching technique, by the way. Try to anticipate. And by the way, if you're not seeing that, I am trying to be a super forecaster. I'm trying to anticipate what you guys will do, which is not easy. But I do see that negative reinforcement isn't always the best idea. Usually just rankles everyone and it throws them off. So if I would do this again, I would have this in-person meeting before you turn in your user story or hypothesis statement. So that I did learn, and it was through a very low sentiment value. That went way down. But what was really, really helpful about this is that it did not invalidate what I was trying to do. That's the point, is sometimes you do have to do things that are not popular. Perhaps this is a better technique. All I can do is try it the other way around, right? Do you want to know what is going on under the seams so you can game it? Saying that in all jest, but people will get, if you know how to game the system, someone will game it. That's all there is to it. Now, I tried to make that impossible, but does this negative feedback mean that you have now given up and, just somehow checked out? I wondered until week 8, and I have done this a little bit early. Perhaps I'll get a couple more people doing it, and I'll update it. But thankfully, week 8 has cemented some sense of a narrative as hypothesis. So remember, this goes in or not remember, I'm just restating. Every one of these is a series of text fields. I can show you what they look like. The survey looks like it's just a database, but it's mainly qualitative and quantitative for, what is it, 13 people. Yeah, 13, 12 or 13. Yeah, so if I went in and read them all, do you see what I mean? I'm also saving myself a bit of time, because one of the other thoughts about this process is, what if there was hundreds or thousands of these? Like, it is impossible to a human to do that, right? You can't take 1,000 ratings, and now you see why I came up with those. See, I'm trying to say, like, how do you do this is the question. And now you have the tool that allows you to play with it, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's trustworthy. It's why we start out. What's trustworthy? Anyway, the reason I'm showing you all this, and I'm going to share this with you to take a look at if you wish, and I'm doing the video just like you will. This is much longer than your video and way too explanatory, but you're welcome to try to build a narrative like I am. The narrative here is that narrative as hypothesis has happened. There is a instructional gap now, apparently, which means that the assignments are clunky and over-designed and asking for too much. Actually, this week was really easy, so whatever. I'm going to learn. Team coordination is difficult. By the way, I'm team building for a reason, because in the world of LLMs and AIs, strong teams are all you've got, and they're extremely valuable. and they're fun. That was my hope. I want you to meet. I mean, oftentimes I remember not meeting many people in my exploration as a college student, and study groups and all those things about meeting people are really important now because the remembering everything may not be as important as we move forward. But learning is, so I'm still saying the educational arc, the cohort has mastered skeptical application of AI for insight, but the turn ends on an operational exhaustion regarding assignment design. Now, the reason I'm showing you all this is I don't know if this is true. And I don't know if the conclusions you've heard from me are worthwhile. In your particular instance, you may disagree with them. You might find that everything was very different from this narrative. And why is a narrative or a story important? Well, I'm going to, or you're going to provide CTAX. Please do. I will bug you a lot. But, this is what the university sees, and that's the big bunch of numbers. But it's important. It's my grade card. Let's call it that. So, not to say grading, I don't believe is important. This is a advanced level master's course. You guys are trying to learn something that is maybe experimental. I think it is. I don't see much precedent for this technique. So I'm hoping it's novel, and I hope you take with it the application of this in. I can't see it not being applicable in many situations, especially when it comes to storytelling around data, which is the goal of the class. Like, can you tell a factual story? Well, in this case, there is no factual story. It's all made up. Is it tonally accurate? Does it provide feedback that is worth taking into account? I was going to do it anyway, but it does help to get this feedback, and it's very specific feedback about my um, course design. And I'm going to share that with the course designers who are all too happy to add lots and lots of stuff for you guys to do. And now I really just wanted to be more timed anyway. I'm not going to go into course design, but that is my reveal. And the goal of this week is to give me your thoughts. Where do you think this is accurate? Do you want to go in and read all these things, or do you want to just give me an opinion upon this idea, or or please use it to inspire your final, right? This is what I'm trying to do, and I'm hoping that you can give me a similar feeling of what you guys in your team are trying to accomplish. Thanks.